Hello everybody, and welcome to part 2 of our EnderIO series, where today we're going to be going into the in-depth guide of the mid-range of EnderIO. We're going to be talking about the machines that are offered inside of the project to upgrade your old machines, make them faster, and how to go about them. And we're going to show you a little bit of automation tools that you have as well. And in this video, we're also going to go over some of the tools and upgrades and how to make those pieces. In our next video, we'll be talking about all the tools and the armors and everything else that the mod offers, along with some of the later game materials and everything like that. In this video, we're going to show you how to get those resources, and then we'll show you what to do with them. So let's go ahead and jump right in on that. Alright, so here we are with part 2 of our mod pack exploration of EnderIO, and today we're going to be going over the second tier of machines, like I said, and we're going to start out over here with our capacitors. Now, you saw our old machines just ran. You plugged them in, they did their job. Well, when you want to go ahead and upgrade the machines, you're going to need to provide them with a battery, basically, the capacitor. And the three different tiers of capacitor are the basic capacitor, the double layer capacitor, and the octadic capacitor. And each one of these are going to make your machines do more or less depending on the tier that you have inside of there. So to get started, your basic capacitor is just 2 grains of infinity, gold nuggets, and a copper ingot. That will get you one basic capacitor, and it increases the energy storage, speed, and range of machines. Some machines have a bigger range when you have a larger capacitor inside of them, and some of them go faster, and all of them go faster as you upgrade the tiers. The next tier here is going to be your double layer capacitor. It's going to require 2 basic capacitors, a pulverized coal, and this can be from any mod. This one just shows thermal expansion because I have it installed, but it is just coal through the sag mill will make you pulverized coal, and 2 energetic alloys, which we talked about how to get in the last video. And then our last layer here is the octadic capacitor, which goes with 2 double layer capacitors, some vibrant alloy ingots, and glowstone, which we also went over how to make alloys again in the last video, so we'll go ahead and go there. The next step, and this is the new part that comes, another new part that comes from the older versions of EnderIO. If you played 1.7 or 1.10, these are the new way to upgrade your machines. Before you just built a better machine, now you're going to need the basic chassis that you have normally for your basic machines, and then you're going to need an industrial chassis. And in order to do that, you're going to need 2 different types of die blends. There's the industrial die blend that makes things like your sag mills, your alloy smelters, and then you're going to have your Attune die blend, which gets into your soul machines like the Slice and Splice, the soul binder, and things like that, which we'll get to in just a little bit. To start, we're going to go over the Attune die, and this is just going to be crushed quartz powder, organic black dye. Now this is the new part of it, along with organic brown dye. Now, in order to get organic black dye, what you're going to have to do is pulverized coal and slime of some sort from any of the mods that you play, but you can just use basic slime from Minecraft, and that's going to get you 2 organic black dyes inside of the alloy smelter. Or you can use an egg and less coal, so this is the better way to go if you already have a chicken farm going. Fantastic route to take there. And then next you're going to need the organic brown dye, which comes from twigs and prunings and a slime ball. Now the question is, where do I get twigs and prunings from? Because this is an EnderIO specific thing. Inside the sag mill, you're going to grind up materials to get a % chance of getting twigs and prunings. Now you can do this with a variety of organic material. Shrubs are going to be one of your better ones. Grass gives you a chance at twigs and prunings, and clippings and trimmings, which we'll also get to in just a moment. You can do ferns, you can do dead bushes, you can do leaves, which is my personal preference whenever I play. Double tall grass, which you can get with shears. You're going to need shears to get the leaves as well. And you can also do large ferns. Now, once you have your dyes, you create it, and it's the Attune dye blend. And you will just put this on your chassis, which I will show you how to do in just a moment after we go over the industrial dye blend, which we'll use far more frequently than the Attune. Now, the organic black dye, you already know how to get. It's the same way as the one before, pulverized coal and slime. You're going to need lapis powder, which is just throwing lapis inside the sag mill. We'll get you the lapis powder. Quartz powder is the same thing. And then we're going to need this organic green dye. The organic green dye is with clippings and trimmings and a slime ball or an egg. and you get clippings and trimmings by running organic material through a sag mill. Now you can do this with a variety of materials. If you have flowers and you need dye, this is a great way to not only double up your dye production instead of just crafting it, but you can also get clippings and trimmings with a 10% chance. And this works with any of the flowers as you see. And the reason I personally prefer to use leaves is because you can get both clippings and trimmings, and you can get your twigs and prunings all at the same time. But cactus is one of the most efficient for clippings and trimmings. You're going to get a ton of it if you run cactus through. But again, it works with any organic material that's listed here. So, just to show you an example of that, we're going to take a piece of cactus here and toss it into our sag mill. And you see we get 8 clippings and trimmings out of that. Now, you saw up here that we had a grinder ball sitting in here, and you can see sag mill grinding ball. This is not a requirement for the machine. You can just run a cactus through without the grinding ball in there, and it will be fine. You'll still get clippings and trimmings. What the grinding ball does is it gives you more of your main grind, and it gives you a bonus chance to the secondary that you can get, and it uses a little bit of power as well to do it. I used a dark steel grinding ball, but you can use flint and a variety of other types of balls. Dark steel is the best and it lasts the longest. Now if we come here and we grab some leaves, we can toss our leaves in there, and you'll see that we get a bunch more clippings and trimmings. It was very fast, and we got some twigs and pruning to go along with it. Now, once you have your organic dyes and everything along those lines, and you have your materials and you have your dye blends, what you're going to need is you're going to need a basic chassis, which we already had from before, from making our machines, a simple machine chassis, and a die to go along with it. This is an alloy smelter, an upgraded one, that has an octadic capacitor in it, so it's going to go faster. And we can set this to alloys only, so it won't smelt anything, although you can leave it on furnace only or all smelting. All smelting works for this. You simply toss your simple machine chassis in, along with your industrial die blend. After a few seconds, you will get an industrial machine chassis. That is the baseline to upgrading all of your machinery. Speaking of upgrading your machinery, here's some examples of those upgraded machinery in work. So right now, we have a basic Stirling Generator that has been upgraded into a Stirling Generator. And what I mean is you can take your old one, you add an industrial machine chassis, some dark metal bimetal gears, and some dark steel ingots, and it will give you the Stirling Generator. Now with this Stirling Generator, if you provide it with a material to burn, for example, we will grab some coal here. We will grab one block or little pieces of coal. Right now it has an octadic capacitor in it. If we place one piece of coal into here, you can see we're generating 120 energy per tick at 120% efficiency. So this is going to input into the machinery, and it will generate at 120. Now, after this finishes burning, you can see that we are already out and we're no longer generating. So if we take this octadic capacitor out of here, and we throw in a basic capacitor instead, and throw in the coal, you can see you're only going to generate 60 energy per tick at an efficiency rating of 80%, which means you're going to use more coal to get less energy at a slower rate. So really, what your goal here is to upgrade to octadic capacitors as quickly as possible, so you generate energy more efficiently alongside the machinery. So that's our goal with those. Next, we have a vibrant capacitor bank, and there are multiple tiers to this. There, of course, is going to be multiple tiers to get to these, but the vibrant is the largest capacitor bank that there is, and it can input at 25,000 per tick or output at 25,000 per tick, and you can change this and limit it. If you wanted to say, I only want it to allow 10,000 per tick, then you can have it set out to 10,000. So if you have a machine that just eats up a bunch of energy, but you don't want it running at max capacity, limit the output that this can have. And in order to make this, it's 4 octadic capacitors, which we've shown how to make, electrical steel, which is just another alloy, and this vibrant crystal, which is emerald, along with a vibrant alloy ingot turned into nuggets. Now, the other versions of this can also be upgraded as you're going. So if you only have enough materials to make a basic capacitor bank, you can use that to upgrade to the next tier. Instead of jumping straight to the double layers, you can make 2 basic capacitor banks and a double layer to go along with it, and it will give you an upgraded capacitor bank. And you can do that for all the tiers. The reason I recommend this, it is less resources, and it can hold a ton of energy. It can sit here and hold 25 million energy points. So it's a huge, huge piece to go along with it. And the cooler part about this is you see right now that you have 25 million storage. Well, if we come over here and we place another one down, you see they have now become a connected texture, and our storage output has also gone to 50 million. So you double up your storage, and now you can also change the max input and output. So we can jump this up to 50,000 because it is 2, and you can now produce that kind of energy, which is really, really strong in later game when you're using materials that suck up energy like crazy. So that's your basic power there. Now what we didn't have in the first tier is what we can upgrade to is a combustion generator, which can burn 3 different types of fuel from EnderIO alone. Now, if you have other mods installed as I do, you can use other fuels, canola oils, refined canola oils, all sorts of different materials, but I'm only going to cover EnderIO, assuming that's all you're playing with. And from there, the materials that you can use are going to be hooch, which is your baseline entry, fire water, and we have rocket fuel. Now, if we go ahead and we toss in, you can do this manually with a bucket, and you can just right click the bucket onto the machine, and you'll see right now we're generating nothing. We throw our bucket of hooch in here, and now we're going to be generating 240 energy per tick at a rate of 4 ticks per millibucket. So a bucket's going to last you a little while. You'll generate quite a bit of energy to go along with it, and hooch is the entry level for generating power. As you can see, it's about 45 into here, which is good, and it's going to need a coolant to run. Now, the coolant you can use is water, is the baseline, and you can also use what is called vapor of levity later on, which will help you produce more energy at a more efficient rate. And getting the vapor of levity just comes from making materials inside of a machine we'll talk about in just a moment. So that's just an example. The hooch will work for that, and that's how you make more power, and you'll see it's inputting straight into the capacitor bank as we have set up right here. You can also have it automatically pumped in. I have some fluid pipes here set up so that we could do that if we wanted to, and we already showed you in the previous video with conduits. Insert extract works the exact same as the other conduits, and you would set up the exact same thing on the back of the machine for it to be an insert or an extract point. And we have the water from an end reservoir here. This is an unlimited source of water. It produces 1 bucket of water every 2 seconds. So you can have this as an infinite water source, and you don't have to have a vanilla Minecraft one sitting there making up and taking up all the room. This is EnderIO's version of it. And you just place 2 buckets of water in there, and then it will be activated and turned on. So you're wondering, well, I've never heard of hooch or this fire water or rocket fuel. Well, how do I get those? Well, this is what we call the vat. The vat is an entry-level or a mid-tier machine that does not have an entry-level component to it. And here we have water is going to be you're always going to need water in here, and then it will output based on what 2 ingredients you put in here. So for example, if we wanted to make hooch, you can just look up the simple recipe, the hooch recipe inside the machine itself, and you can make all sorts of different liquids inside of here. And this is how you get the vapor of levity, things like that. So what we're going to do is we just take an apple and we take a melon, and if you set them in here, it will turn the water, and after a short processing time, you will get hooch to go along with it. And all the machines we're using today have octadic capacitors, so they're running at max capacity. And this is what I recommend as quickly as you can. So you see 1 apple and 1 melon slice turns into 175 millibuckets of hooch, and 1,000 millibuckets is a full bucket that you can take out of the machine. And you can have this automatically imported and exported as well, along with the items using item conduits, so you can set up an automatic farm, which we will get to, and I will show you how to do that as well. You can set up an automatic farm that pumps straight into the vat and produces power for you. It's the same thing with fire water. You can set these up, and it's just blaze powder and redstone, I believe. Yeah, so blaze powder and redstone will give you fire water. I'm not sure why the redstone's not working in there. Oh, we gotta avoid the output tank. Yeah, so the blaze powder and redstone, I'm not sure why that is not working. Oh, that's right, because you need hooch in the entry point, so I'd have to set up another point there. So you would need hooch in your input tank instead of water, so that way you can get rid of it. And that way we have it set up for water right now because I didn't want to set up for all of the different materials possible, but that's the basic concept. And so you would have a vat set up that would make your hooch for you, pump it directly into a vat that is set up so it inputs hooch, and then you have blaze and redstone going directly in here. That will make you fire water, and so on and so forth with all your different fuel sources. So that's a great way to go about that. The next thing we have is our upgraded versions of our basic machinery. So we have our upgraded sag mill, which works just as your normal sag mill does, but much more efficiently, and it's much faster, especially with an octatic upgrade in it. And again, this works with anything and everything, and you can get bonus materials from all sorts of different products. So if you're grinding up your ores, you might as well put it in here because you can actually get bonus ores from it. And like I said before, if you add in a grinder ball, which you can do, and there is all sorts of different grinding balls. The electrical steel is 120% bonus, the energetic alloy is 160, the vibrance 170, you can use a redstone alloy 100%, conductive iron, pulsating iron, the dark steel is 130, solarium 120. So like I said, there's plenty of options you can put in here, or you can just put a piece of flint in there and it will work as well. And they do get consumed on use, but they do have a durability on them that lasts based on the material that you use. Next up we have the crafting recipes for all these. Let me go over those really quick. The combustion generator is just 2 fluid tanks, electrical steel alloy, dark steel, and dark bimetal. And then for the vat here, you're going to have more fluid tanks, a cauldron, the industrial machine chassis, a furnace, dark steel, and some electrical steel. The sag mill here is going to just be dark bimetal, your simple sag mill, an industrial machine chassis, and dark metal. If you wanted to skip these simple machines though, they do offer just a recipe to go straight to the upper tier, and it's just an industrial machine chassis, flint, dark steel, things like that. So if you did not go down the route of using the simple machines to begin with, say you're playing with another mod, you can just go straight to the upgraded version of it, which is always nice that they add both options there. Now the only smelter here is the same as the basic one, it's just faster this way. However, this does have an option for you to switch to furnace only. So say you just wanted to have this as part of your line because you want to smelt 3 things at a time instead of just one, well, you can set it to furnace only and it won't smelt together any ingots that you have that could become alloys. You can set it to all smelting, so it will do either a furnace or an alloy if you're given the option, or you can set it to alloys only. So say you're grinding up iron and you're also processing redstone in another machine and you're waiting for them to come in so that you can make that alloy. This will bank up on the iron, and then as soon as it gets redstone, then it will activate so that it doesn't waste your materials for you. It's very awesome in that aspect. Now this is what we call a painting machine. Now the painting machine has a whole ton of uses. You can kind of put anything in here that you want to. For example, I use it for conduit binders. For conduit facades. So if you have a stack of conduit facade here, you're like, I have a bunch of conduit that's laying all about and I don't want it to be there anymore, throw it in your painting machine and this will make it look like a piece of stone. So if you have conduits sitting out and about in your world, you're going to have, say I'm running some wires here in my base. Now this conduit facade will make it look and disappear so that way you can't see your wiring. It makes your bases look much prettier overall, so that way you don't have to worry about constantly having ugly pieces laying about in your base. Your wiring is nice and compact and it just looks better overall. So that's what that allows you to do. And we do have conduit facades set up on the floor here. As you can see, they disappear and you have your conduits laying underneath, which you can see by holding another conduit or the wrench in your hand. So that's what the painting machine allows you to do. Next, we have our wired charger. Now, if you have a weapon or a jetpack, let's say we'll just grab this conductive iron jetpack here from another mod, you can see it's already charging. And you're like, oh, well, why is that happening? Well, we have a wireless charger here that is charging automatically for us, which is very convenient because now look, it's already full up in our inventory, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. The wired charger will do the exact same thing. If we grab that and we just set it in here instead, it will do the exact same thing. It will drain its internal buffer and charge up your items. So that's what the 2 chargers do, which is super convenient. The wireless charger is awesome if you have an extra power supply laying around. It works super well. Now from there, we have our upgraded machinery. And these are even better versions of the originals of their cells. So for example, this is an enhanced sag mill, and you're like, well, you know what? What's the difference between an enhanced sag mill and a normal one? I don't see a reason to upgrade. Well, we're going to show you an example here. We're going to grab a half a stack of iron ore and a half stack of iron ore for each one. We'll run over here to our sag mill, and we will just toss that guy in there. And then we can run over here and toss this guy in here, and you can see how much faster this actually is. So this one will be done far before this one will be. This is still sitting at 22. They both have octadic capacitors in them, but you can see that this one is just so much more efficient. And as I was talking about earlier, you can see we've gotten some nickel and some tin from other mods along with cobblestone. So the enhanced versions just run at 200% speed compared to their original counterparts. Now, to finish up the recipes here, our wired charger is just our simple wired charger with electrical steel and industrial machine chassis. Our wireless charger here is electrical steel, a basic capacitor, and this Ender resonator, which we will show you how to make in just a moment when we get over to our other machines. These upgraded versions of them, you can put in an enhanced machine chassis. So this is a new version of the machine chassis that you already have, and you have an in-steel chassis, which we will also cover in just a moment, but I'll show you right now actually. So the in-steel chassis is the same as the simple chassis where it uses iron. Instead, this uses in-steel bars and in-steel ingots, which means you do have to have been to the end in order to make these machines, because you need end stone that comes along with it. So that's what they require, and these do offer a direct purchase upgrade just like the others, where you can use your old one or you can just make them straight up with in steel there. So those are two options. The enhanced alloy smelter is the exact same, but just much faster at what it does, and we'll just show you how to make a piece of in steel here real quick, and look how fast that is. It's beautifully fast. One piece of in steel ingot by taking obsidian and dark, and that's how you get to where you are here. The enhanced combustion generator is the same as the other one, just produces energy at a more efficient rate and a faster speed. So it's a lot better to use here. And then we have the enhanced wire charger. Now, if you have a wireless charger installed, this is going to keep your tools and stuff topped off pretty well. But this has a massive reservoir of energy in it. It can hold 50 million RF. This is a kind of charger that you can use for your very end-game materials. 50 million is enough of a reservoir for most mods, and especially this one. So if you do have simply jetpacks installed like I do here, you do have jetpacks that can hold an absorbent amount of RF, like your RF one here can hold 20 million RF. This resonant jetpack, 25 million RF. Now, most chargers don't have that kind of internal storage. This only holds 500,000, so you're going to take forever to charge up something like this that can hold 50 million RF if you're using the Fuse and Flux jetpack. So this enhanced version is massively important for your late game and having those kind of materials up. So that's those. Up next, we have our soul-bound machines, which we showed you how to make the soul chassis a little bit earlier. And now for these machines, you're going to need to collect a lot of zombie heads, skeleton heads, creeper heads, enderman heads. You're going to need to have a lot of them in order to work on this. So this is called the Slice and Splice machine. Now what this machine does is it creates the components for other machines. So you see this Ender resonator here, for example, and we'll show it does require you to have an axe and shears inside of it, and these can be any quality, iron, diamond, whatever you happen to have on hand. I just use dark steel to go along with it, but basically if you put the materials required for, let's say we're going to make this Z-Logic controller here, you're going to just need the materials in your inventory, and you put them in, and then after some time it will turn those into a Z-Logic controller. Use up some durability on your items here, one each, and then you have a Z-Logic controller. And then, of course, the recipes are all the same. They can all be found inside the machine itself. So this, to make that Ender resonator for the machine earlier that we were talking about, you're going to need an Enderman head. So that's why I said get out early, collect a lot of heads, because this requires a zombie head, this one requires skeleton, this one requires prismarine shards, and they all have different uses among the machines. So that's how you use the slice and splice. Unfortunately, things cannot be stacked inside of this machine. So for example, if we had a whole stack of zombie heads and we tried to put it in there, it's only going to put one in at a time. So in order to mass produce these kind of things, I highly suggest that you have an automatic input for it, which you can set up when we showed before, where you just have it come in from the top and pull the materials automatically. So it will sit here and automatically pull the materials in for you, and then it will create the process, because these items cannot be stacked in here in mass. So now that we have that, it'll show you that that's how you make those. Very simple, very efficient, and very fun as well. One of my favorite machines. I don't know why. Up next, we have our Soul Binder. Now this Soul Binder is used for a few different mods as well, but for EnderIO, it is used to make different kinds of materials, upgraded Franken zombies, this is upgraded Z-Logic controller, Ender Resonator upgraded, and it uses what we call Soul Vials. Now Soul Vials are you can right click on a mob to capture its soul and right click it again to open it up. Crafting it is just Solarium and Fused Quartz, which we've covered both in our previous tutorial, and it gives you an empty Soul Vial. Now, Soul Vial, like you said, you just walk up to a mob and right-click it, makes it awesome and easy. Now you're wondering, well, why would I want to do that? Well, let's say you wanted to create a mob spawner. You have to go out into the world and find a broken spawner, and you do this simply by breaking spawners as you find them in the world. And this one is a zombie spawner. I don't want to spawn zombies, I want to spawn wither skeletons, right? So you come over to your soul binder here, and you place your soul vial in. It has the wither skeleton skull, which we collected already, and our broken zombie, and it will turn it into a wither spawner instead. However, it does require your own personal XP to do this. So we're going to use our XP out of our person here. And this is a very slow machine. This has an octadic capacitor in it and everything. It is very slow to upgrade this process here. It's just kind of how it is. And you're wondering, well, now that I have that, what am I going to do with it? That's when we come over here, and you would have your powered spawner that you have crafted. And this is simply a head of your choosing, some electrical steel, a soul machine chassis, vibrant crystals, and that Z-Logic controller that we talked about earlier will give you a powered spawner. Now, the powered spawners can be used in order to craft spawners of any type. Anything that you have a soul vial for, and you've taken the time in this process right here as well to turn it into a zombie or spawner of your choosing, you can combine the powered spawner and the vanilla spawner that is now attuned to what you wanted, so it will be the spawner of your choosing. And you have to do this every time you want to change material. So now you see it's a broken spawner, but with wither skeleton in it instead of zombie, and you do get your soul vial back, which is kind of nice. So now we come over here to the anvil, we place our powered spawner in, along with the wither spawner. Let me grab some XP here real quick. We'll just grab some XP, sorry about that. And so you throw your powered spawner in along with your broken wither skeleton spawner, and you will see this now says powered spawner wither skeleton. This one says powered spawner empty. This will not do anything in the empty state, so we can just take here and we have our powered spawner like magic. Now let's go show you how it works. So you come over here, and this is the powered spawner with an octadic capacitor upgrade, which means it's going to have a larger spawn radius. As you can see here, the red area is where they will spawn in. So all you have to do is provide this with a redstone signal, or you can have it set to always active if you would like. I have it set to to redstone because I don't want a million wither skeletons. So we'll go ahead and turn this on, and then you will see they will spawn wither skeletons. Pretty fantastic, right? And we'll go ahead and turn that back off because I don't want a million of them running around. Yeah, and then they will drop normal drop rates just like normal. So you can set up wither farms to get all sorts of fun stuff going along in here. Look at that. We killed some withers. We get the crafting materials just like they do. And look, I got a wither skeleton skull right off of that. Off of just a few seconds. Now, this does take a lot of power to run. The more complex the mob is, the more power it consumes to produce it. So chickens will take a very little amount of time and a little amount of power, and you'll get a ton of them. Withers will take a lot more energy and a lot more time to produce. Now, just as a quick example of what you can do, we have these Killer Joes set up right here. Now, the Killer Joe, when provided with nutrient distillation, which can be made in your vat, and a weapon of your choosing, we'll go ahead and set this to extract. And we will fill it up with nutrient distillate, and it's got an ender sword. You can use any sword in these that works as a player as well. I'm just using the EnderIO one because they're cool and I like them. These here have a short range on them. They will kill anything inside of that red box there. I have a few set up just for practicality purposes. Now what we can do is you could set up an automatic farm here by simply turning this back on, letting a few of them spawn, which should take just a moment here. As you can see, it takes a lot of power, and our Killer Joes automatically killed it for us. Pretty awesome, right? Now what's really cool about Killer Joes is you can see right there is a Wither skeleton head. Killer Joes can get player drops from killing the mods, so it's really cool. However, be careful when you're using these because Killer Joe don't discriminate. He don't care who you are. He will smack you, right? So be careful when you're setting them up. But that is a great way of setting up a little miniature automated farm process for mobs. And you can do that with any mob in there, and Killer Joe can get player drops from it. Up next, we have our farming station. This requires Vibrant Crystal, a Soul Machine chassis, and a Pulsating Crystal. And this is diamond surrounded by the pulsating, and these are an emerald surrounded by Vibrant Alloy. And then you need the Energized Bimetal, and so which gets you a farming station. Now, a farming station with an octatic capacitor in it has a fairly large range. So that's why we have it set up this way. And this will work automatically with, say, seeds. We want to grow some seeds, so we come over here and we plunk this down. Now, it does need a tool to function as well. So we have provided it with a dark backhoe because this is for farming station only, but you can use any hoe in here. So this it uses power instead of durability, so it's fantastic. Now we just throw these seeds in here, and this is the southwest quadrant, and we'll lock those seeds in there. And here in just a moment, you will see that it will automatically plant your resources for you. It will hoe the ground for you. Even though I've provided it with, there it is. It took it a second, but you can see it automatically hoes and it automatically plants, and it will only plant in the quadrant that you've provided it seeds with. So you can see it stops in its little quadrant because we've only put seeds in that quadrant. Now this still does need fertilization, otherwise the hoed land will dry out like normal, but luckily you can also get some worms from this. So it's really fantastic there. But that's not all this machine can do. We do have it set up, so we'll grab some from another mod here. We have rubber tree saplings. Now anybody who's played with these mods knows rubber trees kind of are hard to farm, but here we can just plunk them in, we lock it up, it will automatically grow the trees for us, and we have put in a dark tree tap inside of here, and that will automatically harvest the resources from the trees when they grow. What's really cool about this, you can also add fertilizer to this. So you can just add basic bone meal, and it will help everything grow quickly. So we'll just throw some bone meal in here, throw some more bone meal in here, and then you will see it will automatically start using the bone meal provided to it, which if you have a skeleton farm going, that's automatically getting you bone meal into a sag mill to double up that production. And then we have here, and you can see in the output here, as soon as it gets the opportunity to, it will start producing all the materials from these items. So the trees have now grown, and you can see that it is pulling out just the sticky resin. It is not giving you the wood from doing said project there. And then here in the hoe, here in just a second, as these things grow, you'll see that it will automatically harvest them and place them in here. And we will grab a basic tree here. We'll set these up in a different quadrant, and we'll lock those bad boys in. And you'll see it will plant normal trees as well. From here, you can have a you can set it up with an axe. We're just going to use a dark axe, and you place the axe inside, and it will chop the trees down as they grow. But you can see now we do get wheat, which is nice. It has planted the wheat for us, and as you can see, it grows the trees, and it also has the rubber trees still going and you do have the axe. However, I learned that there's a bit of a glitch that I'm not sure what causes it, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if it's the dark axe or if it's the rubber tree saplings with combination of the dark axe, but if you place those both in the farming station here, the game crashes, so I don't recommend doing that. But yes, so you can see here that I just have a regular diamond axe in here for now, and it is cutting down the trees, it's giving us the wood, and it's giving us the apples. So as you can tell, this can be used in a multitude of ways. You can use it for tree farming, you can use it for basically anything. Tree farming, seeds, any plant that is out there, you can actually use it for. So that is the one thing that I like. The farming station is awesome. It has an octadic capacitor in it, so it works out really well. It does need a hoe to function even for the trees. As you saw there, it did not function until I placed the hoe in there. So you always need a hoe of some sort, and due to the crash, I'm going to recommend you don't use a dark axe inside of there. If you have Tinker's Construct, you can actually use those as well, which means they can be repaired instead of having to be replaced, so it is very nice. So overall, that's what part 2 of this mod pack is going to be. We showed you all the basic the advanced machines. We showed you some upgrades for it. We showed you how to use the farming station, and that is everything for this part. In the next part of this tutorial, we're going to go over the tools that this mod pack offers, from swords to the armors, the obelisks that exist inside of here, what they do and how to use them. And as always, if you enjoyed the content today, please leave a like and subscribe. If you did not, leave a dislike and let me know what I can do to improve the video content for you. And until the next time, this is Ninja Smurf, signing off.